Market's a little more green, just hanging out waiting for Jackson Hole and jobless claims. I'm Darren, and this is 3 Things for Tuesday, August the 20th. There are 94 U.S. banks at risk of bank runs, including BNY Mellon, State Street, Northern Trust, Citibank, HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, and U.S. Bank. This is because they do not have insured deposits of up to 100%. This list starts with the most vulnerable down to the last one at 50.4%. As with the last crisis, I am sure the FDIC, Fed, and Treasury would step in somehow to prevent a huge event. While you're being told that the economy is resilient and awesome, layoffs keep coming in. GM lays off over 1,000 software and service employees. In April of last year, GM said about 5,000 employees took buyouts to leave then. The SEC has charged billionaire Carl Icahn with the non-disclosure of billions of dollars of personal loans. He has agreed to pay $2 million in civil penalties to settle. This all happened after the short seller Hindenburg claimed that IEF, Icahn Enterprises, relied on Ponzi-like schemes for dividends. Trade while you sleep across time zones with Arbitrage Trade Assist. Sign up today at arbitragetrade.com. Arbitrage Trade is your trusted source for business, finance, and tech info.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Why isn't Pluto a planet anymore? Caroline writes, if you're like me in elementary school, you learned about the 9 planets in our solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Pluto was discovered and classified as a planet in 1930 by astronomer Clyde Tombaugh of the Lowell Observatory in Arizona. The existence of this planet was actually proposed years before by American Percival Lowell, who had theorized that slight disturbances in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune were caused by the gravitational pull of another planet. Lowell even went so far as to make calculations to estimate where to find this planet. Right away, the solar system's newest planet was considered an oddball. However, its orbit is so eccentric, which is far from circular, that it actually gets closer to the Sun than Neptune for 20 of its 248 years-long trip around the Sun. Its axis of rotation is tilted 57 degrees with respect to the plane of its orbit around the Sun, so it spins almost on its side. In 2006, the International Astronomical Union General Assembly met in Prague to discuss Pluto's planethood. At the conference, researchers endured 8 days of continuous arguments with 4 different proposals being offered. One controversial suggestion would have brought the total number of planets in the solar system to 12, including Ceres, the largest asteroid, and Pluto's moon, Charon. Near the end of the Prague conference, 424 astronomers voted to define a planet as having these 3 characteristics. It must orbit the Sun, it must be spherical in shape due to its own gravity, it must have cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. We know that Pluto orbits the Sun. While it is large enough to have become spherical, Pluto is not big enough to exert its orbital dominance and clear the neighborhood surrounding its orbit. In addition to having 5 moons, Pluto shares its orbit with other objects in the Kuiper Belt, a region of the solar system beyond Neptune that is populated with many small icy bodies. From then on, only the worlds, Mercury through Neptune, would be considered planets. Pluto and its like, round objects that share the neighborhood of their orbit with other entities, are now classified called dwarf planets. All other objects orbiting the Sun would be known as small solar system bodies. It is important to note that Pluto did not change, rather scientists changed how a planet is defined. What was once a loose word used to describe a large object within the solar system was now specific. Each year, on August 24th, the international scientific community recognizes Pluto's historic downgrade with a holiday named Pluto Demoted Day. But just because Pluto lost its planet status doesn't mean it isn't fascinating. Pluto has a very prominent heart-shaped glacier the size of Texas and Oklahoma on the surface. Pluto has blue skies, spinning moons, and mountains as high as the Rockies. There are snow-capped peaks on Pluto, and it snows, except the snow is red. The largest of Pluto's 5 moons, Charon, is so big that Pluto and Charon orbit each other like a double planet. And Charon is so big that its gravity eventually causes Pluto to wobble in its orbit. The debate about Pluto's planetary status goes on, even among astronomers. Yet it seems unlikely the IAU will revisit the planet definition controversy anytime soon. Astrophysicist Ethan Siegel said, "The simple fact is that Pluto was misclassified when it was first discovered. It was never on the same footing as the other 8 worlds. Mike Brown also chimed in. So, hey, Pluto is still not a planet. Actually never was. We just misunderstood it for 50 years. Now we know better. The solar system's transformation from 9 planets to 8, at least by the standard IAU definition, was a long time in the making and helps encapsulate one of the greatest strengths of science, the ability to alter seemingly steadfast definitions in light of new evidence.
Hi, I'm E.J. Williams. Each year, millions of animals are abandoned, and more than 1 million are euthanized before they can be rescued. Organizations like American Humane are working to harness the healing power of the human-animal bond, as animals can be trained as life-saving service and therapy dogs to help veterans, the elderly, and children with special needs to overcome the obstacles of everyday life. To find out how you can help give animals and the people they help a new leash on life, please visit AmericanHumane.org.
Pip's Pick of the Day. Arbitrage algorithms have detected a possible uptrend for Arbitrage Biopharma Corp. That's ABUS, and they are headquartered in Pennsylvania. They're a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company which engage in developing novel therapeutics that target specific viral diseases. It focuses on the hepatitis B virus, SARS-CoV-2, and other coronaviruses. The compass line crossed the pro-primary line while already being above the momentum line. Almost all indicators were curling upward, which increases the probability of more upward movement. Always set limits and stop losses. Current price is $3.78, 52-week high of $3.98, and a 52-week low of $1.69. We are not financial advisors. We provide an algorithmic AI bot service called PIPS. Please do your own research.
Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is a privately held research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the contents of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to function as investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC, please visit arbitragetrade.com.